So I stitched a video. I didn't want to share the whole thing here, but about this video talking about this car and how you should avoid these cars. You can read some of the speech on there, and it gets worse because the car is just covered. And I said how we need to limit some speech, how we need to revisit freedom of speech and the Second Amendment, as well as other freedoms, because they may be out of date. The amount of folded comments in that video, oh my God. Now, I have a few key filters in. So to give you a hint of what my filters are set to right now, so you get an idea of the comments I got. Racial slurs are absolutely something I filter out in variations thereof. So yeah, there was a lot of that. In addition to a lot of people coming in not providing any productive. Again, mostly right-wing people that were like, well, you can't just limit free speech. I mean, that's tyranny. You can have your tyranny, I'll have my freedom. Look, you guys have no basis. You people on the right that are complaining, you have no basis for understanding any of this. You don't. You think freedom of speech is being able to go out and harass people with racial slurs, and that should be covered. You should have a right to do that. You shouldn't. In addition, what I'm talking about with the Constitution and our founding documents that our forefathers put forth, because somebody left a comment and they were like, tell me where in the Second Amendment it says what kind of weapons shouldn't be allowed. Okay, look, those laws were made hundreds of years ago. The Constitution was made hundreds of years ago. They weren't anticipating machine guns, assault rifles, stuff like that. So that's always an invalid argument. You guys just don't get it. You don't see it. And that's fine. That's why it is we need to update the laws, because people like you are dangerous and need to have some framework to control you. And you prove that. If you think that's wrong, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't need any control. You need that control, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be agreeing with a lot of the stuff in the Constitution, but you do because you need to be controlled. And that's the sad fact. In every aspect of people that are on the right-wing leaning, you guys need so much control because you can't control yourselves. The vehicles you drive, the things you do, you can't control yourselves. So you need the laws to. Now, some people came in and said that hate speech is not protected. So I'm going to clarify that here. In my opinion of it, and you can try to disprove this by showing me examples where it's not, but hate speech is protected. If law enforcement is going to fail to go after people to protect the rights of other people, then it is protected. Somebody was like, well, you can report vehicles like that. No, you can't. I've tried that. Anytime I do, I'm told it's their freedom of speech. There's nothing you can do about it. Even talking with lawyers, they're like, yeah, there's not much that can really be done about that. So there are no laws preventing somebody from putting hateful stickers on their car and putting that out there in a way, even if it's blatantly racist, they're allowed to do so. And again, I still stand by the fact that you can go in the middle of a store, pick out any person that's not white and start yelling racial slurs at them, and there's not really anything you can do about it. The store can ask you to leave, but you're not going to get a fine, you're not going to get arrested. There's not going to be any lasting ramifications to force these people to stop being racist. And that's what we have to fix, because the problem has gotten so far out of hand that people that choose to be racist are emboldened because they know there's no permanent action for it. This is why the only recourse we have is people on this platform, like Tizzy, who point out people being that way and hope those people get fired from their jobs, or maybe hope that something else happens to them. But unfortunately, as I've said in the past, a person losing their job over being racist doesn't help. It just puts them in grouping with other racists in racist jobs, or jobs that support people who are racist, right? So it doesn't solve the problem. It just groups these people together and it makes them better at hiding what they're doing. We need to be enforcing our laws. Beyond the racism portion of things, people break the law all the time in things that are important. Speeding is an issue that people are divided over. Like, oh, speeding doesn't hurt anybody. Why are you giving me a ticket? And it's like, because if you speed, you could cause an accident and kill someone. But you're so self-absorbed that you don't see it as being an actual issue. And instead, you think that nobody should be getting on you for speeding. Every single time a law is broken and a white person is out there talking about how it shouldn't be a crime, or how they're not getting in trouble for it because it isn't pursued, it just shows how broken the system is. We need to enforce our lesser laws. We need to be stopping people from doing these lesser crimes so it doesn't build up to higher things. But over time, these people become emboldened because they get away with crime after crime, and then there's no repercussions for them. That is part of the reason things are so broken. We need to revisit our First Amendment, our Second Amendment. And somebody else put, well, the Supreme Court can't be wrong. It's funny how you only say the Supreme Court can't be wrong when it sides with you. Everybody was on the right side of things, said the Supreme Court was absolutely fine in their choice on abortion, didn't have a problem with that. But when the Supreme Court prior has said they're going to protect abortion, Supreme Court's wrong. It's just a bunch of liberals in there just protecting people and trying to hurt my rights. But when you agree with it, it's fine. And it's really funny how that works, but that's been the case for far too long. This country will continue to move to the right. This country will continue to have problems. This country will continue to oppress minorities and women as long as we keep ignoring enforcing the laws as they are and updating the laws. Look, Constitution is a few hundred years old. It was not prepared for the world it is today. People have adapted, though, and things have changed, but the laws have not. And even if we just said everything else was fine, our cyber laws alone are so far behind. They're almost non-existent. And that's a problem. And time keeps moving. We've had AI for a very short time now, but we're not going to be too far away from being 10 years where we've had AI as it is and where it gets better and there's no laws to protect people. All in the name of, well, freedom of speech, And it's no. Across the board, each one of our rights needs to be reviewed and we need to start refining it. And for those of you that say that the Supreme Court has never, they've never ruled on, they do all the time. But the problem is we're so stuck in the past, nothing has changed. We need to be updating these things. And I'm sure there's going to be more hate here. But again, as I said at the beginning of starting my TikTok career, if you will, I don't get paid for it, but I'm not concerned with your guys' hate speech in here. I used to stream full time. So whatever you guys think you have, it doesn't matter. I've dealt with it all before. So feel free to leave your comments. They'll get filtered out. If you don't have anything productive to say, it's probably going to remove too, because the last comments that were left that I pruned, because I pruned a lot of comments on that last video too, was a lot of hate speech. It was still hate. You guys don't even understand what hate speech is. You think you're allowed to say ridiculous things that are harmful to others, and that's just free speech, and it's not. And I'm not going to support that here. So, but if you have a productive thing to say or you have questions, that's one thing. If you want to provide examples and you want to say, okay, well, what if I have a bumper sticker that says, I think all people who voted for Biden are idiots? Great. That's fine. That's free speech. That's different. That's an opinion. But at the same time, having a sticker that says, I think all people who support Biden should be unalived, that's not free speech and should not be protected, because you're not being funny. You're not being anything special about it. You're expressing a hurtful opinion that does not belong anywhere. It does not provide further commentary. It isn't funny. And you could say, well, funny is interpretive. It's funny to some people. And I bet if I grouped some other opinions from those people, we'd find racism there as well. And that's the problem. Same with supporting hate groups. We allow hate groups to run free. We really do. This should not be that hard. A lot of these racist hate groups should be done already. But if it's a group of black people who appear to be a gang, oh, we're quick to jump on that, aren't we? That's what I love. It's that double standard that's just, oh, so sweet. So, again, feel free to leave productive comments. Feel free to leave productive things. But if you're just going to be ignorant, racist, and you just want to name call, that's fine. I'll just remove your comments.